Hello, my good friends. This is your friend, Johnny Watkins Sr., and I am before you today to have Johnny's Straight Talk. Um, Today, I just want to talk about something that happened to me this morning, and it just jarred my memory of just a tragic event that happened um, over 2 years ago. Um, Today, I was out on my one of my walks this morning. Um, that I enjoy doing. I enjoy getting out walking. For one, is keeps me healthy. Two, it gives me an opportunity to just be with God and just give blessings to God and everything that He has provided for us. Get a chance to see the trees and the birds and the grass and all the different things there. And it's just a great opportunity for me to release and just be with God. But where I walk at is I find myself, my path takes me through a predominantly white neighborhood. I was trying to find another word, but I just got to say it like that. And I have been doing this for over about a year and a half now, walking in this neighborhood. Um, but today it felt strange. Not because someone made me feel that way or something happened. It's just that I felt like here I am as a black man um, going through a predominantly white neighborhood where they're traveling back and forth in their cars, some of them waving at me and some of them not. And it reminded me back to Ahmaud Arbery. Now, for those of you that don't know, that I'm from Brunswick, Georgia. That is where Ahmaud, this is where that tragic event happened, where Ahmaud lost his life. Um, and it, and at that instance, I was thinking about that. That here I am just walking, just for exercise, enjoying just the beauty of all of that God has made, and also just taking a look at the different houses, and I look at the yard work, um, and I started feeling a little funny. Like here was Ahmaud, just jogging through a neighborhood that was predominantly white, and that two individuals decided that he should not be there, and they ended up killing him. Why? Just because he was a black man in a white neighborhood. And it just brought me to thinking, exactly what have we done as black people here in America, or even in the world, that has caused people to hate, many people to hate people of my color? What have we done? Are we just that evil of a people? And so I came back here because I said, okay, well, let me start doing some research on this. And some of the stuff I've looked up before, but it's been a while, and I decided, okay, let me take a look and let's just see. And I just want to see in the prison system, because oftentimes we will look at the news more often than any, and that you will see the news and those that's committing crimes are people that look like me, right? You would think that we are the only ones that are committing crimes, right? And so I said, okay, well, let me go and let me take a look at the prison system, and let's see what the percentages of race, based off of race, who's is in prison. And so I looked up this stat from August 27th. It's only a few days ago, from 2022. This is the percentages of prisoners by race. All right. So Asians is 2,243 inmates, prison inmates. So that's 1.4% of the prison system. Black people, 60,550 inmates are in prison. That's 38.4% of the prison system. Native Americans, 4,026 number of inmates, prisoners. That means 2.6, that comes out to 2.6% of the prison system. White, 90,944 inmates. That's 57.6% of the prison system. So, although, and I wasn't shocked because I have seen this before, but you would never think that when you look at TV, or when you, for those of us that still read the newspapers, or if you go on the internet, you will see nothing but, I shouldn't say nothing but the majority of people of color. Now, what's not on here is Hispanics. I don't know why they didn't put that there, but that's not on this particular statistics. All right, but going back to when you look at the news, you would see us on there, black people, black men, black women, as if we are the ones that are committing the most crimes in America. But here it is, over 90,000 white men and women are in the prison system, which makes up 57.6% of it. But yet you don't see that. But yet we are made to feel, not only here in this country, but in the world, that black people is the problem. Right? Ahmaud Arbery was the problem because he was a black man in a white neighborhood that they felt threatened that he was up to no good. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. All right? And I want to pause here and say I give so much respect. I salute the mother of Ahmaud. She is the definition of a strong black woman. Too often we use that term, strong black woman, and we use it in a negative way when sometimes it's to bash our very own. But this is truly the definition of a strong black woman who would not give up, even though leaders, it seemed like, and from what I understand, leaders that were of the city was not there for her. And she kept from the story and from what I've heard in the news is that she just would not give up. And shout out to her. I have nothing but much love and respect for her. And shout out to his father. Shout out to his father for showing so much control through all of that. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how Mr. Arbery did it, and I salute him also. But he did. Both of them did. And in return, they got justice, right? And we applaud that. And I feel a certain kind of way that it took all of that from the mother and the father for all they had to go through for over a year and a half, from what I understand, to just get this to become news and to get justice. But they did. And I'm not sitting here to say I'm Ahmaud Arbery at all, because I'm not. I'm only telling you that I felt a certain kind of way today. It was the first time in a long time that I just felt uncomfortable being a black man that's just out walking, trying to just work on health and enjoy life, that I felt uncomfortable because I was in a predominantly white neighborhood. What have we actually done? What has black people done to rate this? You know, I looked it up, and I looked up, I Googled and wanted to find out how many countries, right? How many countries have black countries invaded, right? Invaded throughout history. And this is so funny how, and it's not funny, it's really troubling and sad. But what came up was that it talked about how many countries came into Africa to colonize it. The Europeans, Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, Spain, Portugal, Italy. That's what came up. There was nothing to come up and say that African countries, black people just united and went out and invaded countries and took over and killed and because something was done wrong to them. It talked about how many countries came in, basically invaded Africa to colonize it. Now, here's something that should shock you, or maybe it shouldn't. When I did the same search for America, it said, how many countries have America invaded? What came back was, there's only 3 countries that America has not invaded in the world. Only 3 countries that America has not invaded. There are 195 countries. And 3 of them, and I won't even call their names out because these 3 are hard to pronounce, and quite frankly, I've never heard of them before. But you can Google it. So 192 countries, America, who's run by the Europeans, right? White America has invaded those countries. Yet, some kind of way, this country and this world is convinced that the black man is the worst, is the enemy, is the problem, is the threat. We spent over 246 years in slavery. And here we are in 2022, still dealing with racism. Still dealing with it. We have, 2 years ago, 2 men decided they were going to get in their trucks with their shotgun and hand weapon and chase down a black man because he was running in their neighborhood. And then felt they had the right to kill him just because he would not stop. And what do? What do? We beg, we pray for all this hatred to change. We've been begging and praying since slavery. For over 400 years, we are still begging and praying for the enemy to change. And when I say the enemy, I'm talking about the racist enemy. And if whatever color that falls up under towards black people, right? I'm not saying the whole entire race is racist and evil, but it seems as though we have been identified. When I say we, the black man has been identified as evil and up to no good. And that has been accepted. Right? I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. We black people, we only speak of turning the other cheek when we're dealing with those that don't look like us. That's the only time we speak of turning the other cheek, praying for a miracle and praying for change and hoping all this and hoping that. That's the only time. But when it's done to us by the same color, we don't do that. We don't ask for turn the other cheek. We don't ask her, for the most part, to say forgive. We're going to get justice ourselves, for the most part, or we demand justice. But when it's done to us, we will get on TV after somebody has come in a church and killed 9 people, and we're going to say right the day of the next day, we forgive them. I don't understand it. Now listen to me. I'm not a Bible scholar. All right? I'm not a Bible scholar, and I was not called to preach. And I would tell you this. I am one to say, how many more preachers and churches do we need? Because the positive results are debatable based off of how many preachers and churches that we have. Because in 2022, it feels like we're back in 1960. But I will say this. I do believe my Father, right, has blessed me to speak and speak with straight talk for the better and the growth of our people, or the people that looks like me. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not here to bash nobody. I'm not here to talk about anybody else or what you're doing and what God has called you to do. And if you're getting good results, then good for you and praise God. But if your results are not producing positive results, then maybe you need to take another look at yourself. Or maybe we need to get back on your knees. All right? I am tired of begging and grown men crying and hoping for some miracle for us to stop catching hell and living in hell while the enemy himself is living in heaven right here on earth. Because I believe all mankind, I don't care what your color is, was meant to live and enjoy the fruits of all that God had provided for us here on earth. Everybody. Not a certain color. Right? And I say I'm sick of the crying and stuff because let's talk, for those of you that believe in the Bible. And I'm no Bible scholar. And I'm not trying to present myself that way. And I don't want to get into no real debate if somebody wants to come and start. Although I would talk with you. Right? But I'm not here to debate what the Bible said. But for those of us that do believe in the Bible, that, the children of Israel was enslaved for over 400 years. I believe that. That's what I read. And when God freed them to take them to the promised land, once they got to the promised land, God didn't just say, okay, go into the promised land and enjoy it. Right? They had to go into physical battle. God told them that, to take the land from the giants. Right? God even guaranteed them victory and said he would never leave them as long as they obeyed his laws. So let's think about that. The Israelites was in bondage. They was enslaved. They was enslaved people. God answered their prayers because they prayed to become free of being slaves. God answered their prayers, had Moses to come get them out of there, took them to the promised land, promised them the promised land. But when they got there, it was already occupied. And they became afraid that they had to go in here. There was giants living there. They had built city and it was fortified. But God told them they had to go and physically take it. Doesn't that story sound familiar? If it doesn't, it sounds familiar to me. Right? We have a right to enjoy this land that's full of riches and gold and silver, yet we allow others to come into our land and take it from us. I don't understand it. We have a right to enjoy this life just like every other person does. But yet we'll go to church and we'll thank God for having less, right? But then when we come out of church, we complain about how much suffering that we're going through. Right? Okay, so we go into church and we thank God for what we have. Okay, right? We're not asking for more, but when we come out of church, we complain about what we don't have and the suffering that we're going through. Look, and I know some of you are going to have some problems with this, and that's fine, right? That's fine. Because every word doesn't have to come from a man or a woman that's wearing a robe and a shiny suit that's meant for good for you, right? And every word is not a good word just because somebody has on a robe and a shiny suit. Now you take that and you work with that, right? I'm not pointing no fingers, but some are going to say, well, who am I to say what I'm saying? Well, I just told you, God has put this on my heart. And I don't know, if you're telling me I'm saying something wrong, then tell me what I'm saying wrong. Right? I can go into a store and walk in a store, a grocery store, it doesn't matter, and I will get looks, strange looks and looks of fear, especially by women of a different race. Not because I've done anything, right? Not that I'm doing some strange stuff. It's just because I'm an average, above average, or maybe over average looking black man with a bald head. That's it. I'm coming in there minding my own business, and somebody is looking at me strange, or turning, or moving, or clutching their purse a little bit stronger, as if I'm the enemy. But I can go back into those same stores with a shirt on that says USMC, United States Marine Corps, or military, because I served in the military, and I get the total opposite. Now I don't get the strange looks. Strangers want to come up to me that doesn't look like me, and they want to carry on conversation. Nothing changed but my shirt. I'm still that bald-head black man, right? Of maybe above average look. But now because I'm wearing a shirt that says something about the military, I become approachable. And I'm not as vicious looking. I don't know what the term would be. So some of us, you can believe that you are different because you are accepted when you are in a position and you are in entertainment, to the point that they want your autograph, they want you to even take pictures with their children. But I would tell you, when the bright lights are gone, and you have nothing more to offer to them as far as entertainment, you're not going to get that same treatment. You're going to get that same treatment like I get without my military shirt on. But we fall victim to that. We think we're different now. Just because we make a little bit more money, right? We live in a neighborhood that's not predominantly that looks like us. We feel that we are accepted. But doesn't it always show that eventually we are shown that we're not? I do not believe we've been shortchanged in our blessings, and especially in our physicality. I don't believe that. I don't believe we are a weaker people. Definitely we're not weaker as our physicality. We've proven that. But it seems that we are not willing to make that sacrifice. And believe that, like with the Israelites, that God will be with us. Look, I'm gonna say a quote here that probably is not gonna sit well with a lot of you, but I believe in this quote, right? And I'm gonna shorten it up, and it's by Malcolm X, right? Malcolm X said this, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm really shortening, and you can Google it, and I might just put it up. It said Malcolm X said black men uses religion as an excuse to be cowards. That's a tough pill to swallow. This is coming from Malcolm X. This is one of our great leaders. I know some of us don't want to accept black Malcolm X because he was framed as a militant, whatever, right? Because white America doesn't want to accept Malcolm X. They killed him because he was about, hey, if you're going to fight me, I'm going to fight back. Right? That was it. He wasn't trying to initiate the fight, but he was saying, you fight us, we're going to fight back. Any means necessary. Right? But white America accepts and pushes Martin Luther King, right? Who was passive, who took bricks to the head and took being spit on and being watered and beat up and thrown in jail, right? Why don't you do it the Martin Luther King way? And I always reply back to that, but they killed him. They brag about Martin Luther King, right? But they killed him. They killed him. So we have to stop this, right? The Israelites had God behind them to go in to physically take this. Now, am I sitting here and am I trying to encourage you to go fight and start a war and anything like that? No, what I'm saying is let's stop begging. Let's stop crying. Let's stop hoping for a miracle. God has given us the same abilities and I believe to be more than any other race of people. We don't have to beg for anything. Right? I don't see nothing wrong with admitting we're catching hell here on earth. But believing God will be with us to make a change. I don't see nothing wrong with that. But I do see something wrong with we going into church and doing the modified James Brown dance. And that's okay, I guess, when the spirit is okay. But listen to me. When the doors open at the end of church, and you go back outside, reality slaps us back in the face. We're catching hell. But we're catching hell because we are allowing hell to be bestowed upon us. We can make that change. But like our former president Barack Obama stated, that change begins and starts with us. Stop begging. Stop crying. Stop acting as if we're not catching hell here. We're catching hell. Things are not going in a positive direction right now for us. So I'm going to say this and I'm going to end this. For those of you that believe in the Bible, in Genesis, it talks about Lucifer, the fallen angel who was kicked out of heaven before earth was created. I think I'm saying that right. Earth was not created at that time. Or maybe earth was created. Let me change that. But man wasn't created. So I change it to that. Man had not been created. But when God created man, he told man, Adam, you will have dominion over everything on earth. Right? Everything. So then why do we give so much power to something that was on earth before us, for man, before Adam, and God said, you have dominion over everything? I heard a preacher preach that one time, and it just opened up my eyes. That I never will give the devil power over me. Because I'm God's son. And he said that I have dominion over everything. I felt like Ahmaud Arbery today. And it reminded me that we live like that every day when we don't have to. When we don't have to. That's my straight talk. Did not want to offend anyone. If I offended you, please accept my apology. I look forward to you making comments, whether you disagree or you agree. Do you agree? But let's change this. Let's change it. And let's stop begging. And let's stop crying. And let's believe that God is behind us. And let's change and make this a better place for all of us. All right? Until the next time, take care. Thank you for listening to Straight Talk.